My name is AJ Nichols, and welcome back to The Will of the Hunted. This week's guest is a talented actress, an outspoken social commentator, and a great friend of mine. Please welcome Mandolin. This podcast is for support and commentary only, not professional advice. I am not a licensed clinician. This podcast might be triggering to some listeners as we have honest discussions about trauma, but we have lighter conversations about mental health and identity as well. And if you need help, go to thewillofthehunted.com/resources. And remember, you are not alone.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being here.
I'm so excited. Let's get into it.
All right. So first question, how would you describe yourself?
I'm a mom, first and foremost, but absolutely positively type B. I'm not organized. I thrive in chaos, and that's just kind of where I want to be.
Awesome. I mentioned that you are a social commentator, and one of the things I've known about you and your social media career is that you love highlighting especially like political oppression and like breaking down power structures and kind of highlighting a lot of the problems that we face in society, and also with, like family dynamics and stuff too.
Yeah, it gets a little tricky, and I just didn't really see much of it out there. I'm sure it exists, but at the time I started with the political social commentary, it just felt so heavy that these people I've known for years, broken bread with, now all of a sudden, because of one person, is my enemy, and they're out for blood, and everything I think is wrong and terrible and bad, and so is everyone, half the country, who feels this way. And I was just sick of feeling that animosity, so instead I highlight what I can and have built a community around it that I'm pretty proud of.
That's awesome. So was it the 2020 election that really got you started on the political commentary?
That, and then I would say probably October 7th really got me way more.
That's the start of the Israel-Gaza war, or
correct,
of current day.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. You've been doing that now for a few years, and you've built quite a following. What does it feel like to have a lot of people listening to your political takes, and you probably get your fair share of hate and people not agreeing with you? How do you deal with that?
If they are only coming onto my page to tear it apart or not like it, I'm not going to change their opinion, and I highly doubt anything they have to say is going to change mine. Mm-hmm. So it did take a little getting used to, but I just kind of ripped that Band-Aid off of, we don't see reality in the same way. Unfortunately, some way, somehow, people are living in a very different reality. So if you don't like what I have to say and you just want to insult me, I get hundreds of those a day. It's not interesting. It's not edgy. I don't care.
Do you know the creator Drew Afwalo?
I do, yes.
She has this video that's so funny, and I think about it every time I get hate comments. It's like, you bitches are hamsters running in the wheels that turn my business. So every time you comment hate exactly, or think you're fighting me or making a point, you're boosting my engagement and my numbers. So 100%. Thank you. And 100%. It's getting my content to the people who actually need it.
Mm-hmm. I love her. Yeah, no.
What would you say are your biggest talking points, or the things that you're most passionate about conveying through your platform?
More or less that I don't think people should be hungry, they should be unhoused, they should be demonized for thinking of things in a different way than the current administration in office right now. And I don't understand when we went from wanting life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for everyone to only the people that align to this very specific, very narrow point of view, and everybody else is ostracized. I just want to feed kids in school. That's what I want my taxes to go toward. I I don't understand the hypocrisy. I don't understand this like two-tiered system of whether or not they value a life. I think all lives should matter and do matter, as a matter of fact. Not in the all lives matter way, but every human life has value, and I wish we could make sure people's needs were met. I don't want my money funding wars and whatever else.
And being a mother, especially like you've talked about being a very young mother and not having enough support raising your daughter, and you've kind of talked about those experiences and those challenges on your social media as well. What role is being a mother in your advocacy and your commentary?
Yeah, I feel like I really couldn't say if I would be different without being a mom. I had my daughter at 16, so that has been the majority of my life is being a mom. But I'm fighting for her. I'm fighting for children growing up right now, not safe in their schools, not getting free lunch. I do think it plays a very important role because I will be gone one day, and I want to make sure what I can give to offer her is a better world, a better country.
Yeah, we were actually talking before we started recording, and you said that she wants to become a teacher, and that unfortunately one of your concerns as a parent is that she's going to be working in a school and the concerns about gun violence.
Right, yeah. And it is a real fear right now. She's in college. That could happen there. It's a real fear if once she progresses and becomes a teacher, graduates, that it could happen to her at any time, or she has to then defend these children from some assailant for whatever reason they might think that's a good thing to do. And that is so messed up. That should not be a thought that any of us have sending our kids to school or school in general. It should not be a target for gun violence whatsoever, but the more we do nothing, the more we get more of the same. So thoughts and prayers haven't worked yet.
What do you see as the solutions, or what do you think is what is the best way for people to take action?
For gun violence in general?
Yeah, or I guess that, or any kind of causes that you speak about on your social media.
Okay, yeah.
What do you encourage people to do?
Get involved. If you don't know, who your neighbors are, who your mayor is, what their political alignment is, I think it's really important to know as much as you can, with daily life and everything that's happening, and we're all addicted to our phones. Just knowing your community, if there is a need, if it's possible to, maybe crowdsource something, because all of us are broke. That's just the reality. Crowdsourcing something like a community garden, which I had the idea to do pretty recently, only to hop on Facebook and find out it already exists in my community, so A+ on that. Just finding where there might be a need and seeing if there's anything that can be done. All we need is really people willing to put in the effort. Money, yes, but more so if enough people are talking about it and bringing attention to the cause. The people who have the knowledge, who have the ability, who have the finances will hopefully follow suit.
One of the arguments I hear online a lot is, how am I supposed to keep up with everything? I'm so busy with my life. What do you say to those people about how being like an informed citizen does not have to be a huge time sink?
I mean, you could always follow creators that will take a really complex issue and give it to you in bite-sized pieces. I've learned a lot about it that way, and sometimes I'll do that as well on social issues. I unfortunately did fall into the trap of it consuming a good majority of my life. I don't recommend that to people, but yes, stay informed, because once something happens, once it's a bill, once it's in place or becomes law, it's too late then. We need to know what everybody is doing, maybe not everybody, but what the administration or lawmakers in general are wanting to do, because they don't have free reign. They work for us, and I feel like they have forgotten that along the way. Mm-hmm. We need to let them know what our opinion is. Protest, great. Calling your representatives, much better. Much better.
Absolutely. And I think it's, for me, as someone who is coming out of the news industry, I definitely prefer getting my news on TikTok.
Yep, 100%.
Because I when I watch, especially people like you, creators like you, who are okay, this is this bill, mm-hmm. and this is what this means for you.
Yeah. And
that I really value that, because news has to be so objective and detailed and balanced, and you're no, this is this is what's up.
Yeah, this is what's actually happening, not what they're telling you. Because a lot of the time, they're not reading the bills. The people that are on TikTok explaining it are, but the people who, get a 5-minute speech will just say it's for whatever their cause is. You're not reading the fine print. If you yourself are not reading the bills, listen to someone who can and does have the time for that. 100%, stay involved.
Yeah. What's been the most rewarding moment of building your platform so far? If you can name one.
I think just in general, the fact that I was able to get a following as someone who wasn't necessarily apolitical, but not in that space, to be able to get the following I have means people resonate with what I have to say. There are people who see the writing on the wall, see what's happening, and they're not okay with it. I'm not alone, isolated, sitting here thinking, the world is going to end. There are people who are capable and in the position to make these changes, and if I can do anything to help their effort, I will spread the awareness of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful too, because I feel like a lot of people feel like they're powerless mm-hmm. in a lot of these situations and things that are happening over our head that we can't control. But
exactly.
If you make a TikTok that can get 1.5 million views,
yeah, then
chances are lawmakers are seeing that. People who, the powers that be, mm-hmm. that actually those waves, those ripples hit those structures. I'm being really meta, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I like to think so.
It's going somewhere and doing something.
Exactly.
And it's the democratization of, because voting feels no one knows who I voted for unless I tell them.
Right.
Maybe that feels kind of a throwaway act, but using your voice on social media and then educating other people and rallying them is just so powerful.
We the people, that is who they work for. Every single one of them in every office in this nation work for us. We need to remember that.
And now all those people are on TikTok too. All those politicians are on TikTok too.
They sure are. Can't have anything nice.
Trigger warning. The following segment contains discussions about the following: child abuse and neglect. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome back. We're still here with Mandolin, and we've been talking about your platform as a social commentator, and we also started talking about your experience as a mom. Mm-hmm. And one thing that you've also mentioned and talked about on your platform is your BPD diagnosis. For anyone who may not know, would you be willing to explain what BPD is?
Yeah, sure. I'll do my best. So it's a mental disorder categorized by a low sense of self, the impulsivity, terrible abandonment issues. And how it happens, or the best way I'm able to explain it, is essentially as your brain is developing, if you have someone who is meant to be a caretaker, they do something that is abusive and essentially different than how they normally act. If this is a reoccurring trauma that you're experiencing, your brain kind of splits in two. Because on the one hand, you have your mom that loves you, bakes cookies for you, is always there when you need her. And on the other hand, you have this woman who will, this is just an example, but lock you in your room for 23 hours a day, or put you in dangerous situations for their own gain. And your brain, as you're very young, growing up, doesn't understand how it's possible that these are one person, so you effectively split them. And that is where the splitting, most commonly known with BPD, comes from, the rapid idolization and de-idolization of people. One minute you love them, they're the best ever. The next minute you've never liked them. They're always mean to you. You don't know why you hang out with them. It's because in your youth you were dealing with either a person or people who were meant to protect you, who put you in harm's way either themselves or put you in the situation to be harmed and abused.
Wow. Yeah. And what does BPD look like?
Oh, sorry. It's okay. So, I mean, I'm a lot better now than I was, but I actually had a BPD YouTube that I had for a few years, and that's kind of what got me comfortable.
Was that The Art of Pain?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what got me comfortable with being in front of a camera. It's kind of like walking around almost like without skin. Your nerves are exposed, you're raw. When something happens, it is huge, even if it's really small. It makes you second guess everything you've ever done in your life. If this person really is your friend, if you're splitting, you're just walking around kind of like open emotionally for things to seep in, and if you're not careful with what you're ingesting, it will lead to things like suicidal ideation, self-harm. Gambling is one, promiscuous sex is one. Like, you need an outlet for all of these feelings. I often say I have too many feelings for my body because I'm a short person, but I have all these feelings, it can't contain it. It's just kind of a very raw way to live life because things feel so much more personal, even if they're not. And obviously, you're always worried that people hate you or are going to abandon you because that's what happened to you. You have a lived knowledge of that happening, so why wouldn't it happen again?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing it, because I really don't know that much about it, and I've heard about it because when I was getting diagnosed with CPTSD, I think my dad or someone was telling me that there's oftentimes like a very blurry line between BPD and CPTSD, and that it kind of just is trauma and the way that it creates personality issues. But I think, isn't BPD more like family oriented and like kind of childhood oriented, and CPTSD develops whenever?
Yeah, I mean, I would say they can be one in the same in a lot of the sense. If you don't have that complex PTSD due to trauma, I think, as someone who's not a professional or medically licensed, I would think that would lead you into the BPD territory. It's because of this continuous, while you're growing, while your brain's developing, when you're teeny tiny, experiencing the world that is very harmful to you. And then also these moments of like, oh, this is actually a good person. This is my grandfather. I love him. When we're in the store, he's nice to me, but when we get back in the car, he's screaming at me. Stuff like that.
So what does BPD stand for? Is it
borderline personality disorder?
Okay. And what has helped you cope over the years, especially growing up?
Growing up, honestly, I got pregnant at 16. I'm not in any way blaming my pregnancy on my BPD, but had it not been for that, I probably wouldn't have been in that situation to begin with. I actually got myself taken away from my mom when I was 14. Like, I called CPS and I was like, listen, there's no food, no clean clothes, no toilet paper. What do? They did the 3 drop-by surprise visits, saw that what I said was true, and then I got myself taken away. So after that, and like learning to somewhat trust adults again, I realized that not everybody is the same. Not everybody is going to, use what they can from you. And some people are actually good people. But for the most part, my guiding principle is, if it's something my mom would do, I will not. I will do the opposite. If that is a decision I think she would make, that means it's not the right one for me.
Wow. Was it tough kind of figuring out that diagnosis and then also learning how to take care of yourself while you were raising a child when you were still a child as well?
I mean, I got diagnosed at 12, so I was not really aware of it. To be honest, I knew that I had this diagnosis, but it wouldn't be until years later when I'd actually start learning about it and wanting to know more about it, because all I was seeing, if like that show, My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I believe it's called, the protagonist has BPD and she's just this insane freak weirdo that's just going to do all these crazy harmful things, and I'm like, that doesn't really sit right. So then I went through the process of learning more about BPD, really realizing how much it's being kind of demonized, I would say, in media, and that's why I started my YouTube, is to let people know, like, we're not like this. This is a terrible characterization of what BPD is. We are human, most of all. But yeah, no, raising my daughter, I would say, was really hard, but that's exactly when the, is this a decision my mom would make, would come to play, and I just tried to do everything I possibly could. That was the complete opposite of what she did, because I don't want to be like her.
Yeah.
My very first YouTube, it was after months and months and months of research on BPD. I printed out a picture of a brain, and for the illustration of what I just explained to you, how your brain splits, because this one person is actually these two very different people, I took a picture of a brain and teared it in half for, like, theatric effect, which worked, and just kind of explained what it meant, because if you don't know anyone personally with BPD, if it's not something you struggle with personally, you're going to think we're just absolutely mentally ill, insane people. We can't do anything for ourselves, and we just gamble all of our money, because there's so much to be said about impulsivity, which I'm not immune to. I do shop a lot, but
Same.
I just, initially it was about letting people know what it is, what you're capable of with BPD, and then it just kind of ended up being unhealthy for me in the way that most of what I was consuming was BPD related, and in a way I kind of fed off of that and ended up becoming sicker in the process, because I'm like, oh, well, I'm feeling this feeling right now, it's because of BPD. I'm doing this thing right now, it's because of my BPD. I ended up romanticizing it, like I am this mentally ill person, there's no hope for me, I wish I could wear my heart on the outside so you could see how black and blue it is. I did end up eventually pulling away, but at the time I created kind of a safe space for me to unload my trauma, as well as try to work through it, just having a one-sided conversation in my room.
Yeah, that's, wow. And that's really cool that you did that much research and you were willing to share your own experiences and struggles to kind of help other people understand better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. It's just like, this is not a death sentence. You are not an incapable human being with this diagnosis. That's what I wanted for that project.
What would you have any advice for people who love someone with BPD? Like how would you say you would want someone to support you the best?
It's hard, because with the impulsivity, with the splitting, so the rapid idolization, de-idolization of them, it, on the outside, that must be pretty hard. That I can understand how that would be upsetting, and it's hard to be in the space of someone who is currently de-idolizing you and saying you never do this or you always do this. We think in extremes when we're in that state.
So it does translate from your, like, from authority, like parental figures, to your romantic partner.
100%. Yeah, any relationship you can have with another human being is not, unfortunately, like, interpersonal relationships is where that happens the most. I can't say I've ever done it to my boss, but I've done it to a lot of people. So, I mean, if you are the partner of someone with BPD, I encourage you to look into it. This isn't something that they're doing as a means of manipulation. And if you become a little more educated, you might be able to spot the signs earlier, not necessarily to help with the splitting or the impulsivity or reckless behavior aspects, if that is pertinent to them, but more so the suicidal ideation, because people with BPD have a much higher percentage or a chance of committing and being successful with taking their lives. So get educated if you can. If you can't give them the grace that they need, it might not be the right relationship for you.
Did you end up in the foster system after you got away from your mom?
No. So first I got taken away and then placed with my amazing aunt, who I love very much, but she lived in Maine, and they weren't willing to let her go through the process because of the state borders. So then my dad, who I had met twice up until that point, ended up taking me in, and that was okay. I got to know him a little bit, lasted for a while, and then I got really drunk on whiskey one night, came home, and was like, "You were never there for me." He was like screaming at me, like, "Where have you been? It's so late, blah, blah, blah." And I'm just like, why am I going to listen to you? Like, to me at the time, he didn't come in any position of authority. I'm like, I pretty much just met you 2 months ago. Like, I don't take you seriously. Ended up getting kicked out that night because of that. And then I ended up moving in with my daughter's grandfather, which kind of facilitated her existence, made it easier anyway. And then I lived with him until I turned 18.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious because you talk a lot about the foster system and the state, kind of what happens to children who are removed from toxic situations with parents, and kind of the problems that you've seen with that. And what do you see any like kind of cultural or societal issues with parenting that are contributing to those cycles?
I mean, abuse, hands down, is the quickest way to either give your child BPD or CPTSD. So factors like that, unfortunately, depending on the family, if it's a religious family, you are more likely to see that kind of thing. And it's unfortunate, because I would like every child to have a happy, healthy childhood, but that's just not the case. And especially if a if a child is placed in foster care after handling all of this trauma, all of this harm, or possibly abuse, they're likely not going to be with a family that will be understanding of that. And that breaks my heart. And once they turn 18, unless they have like a really good family that adopted them, all these children in foster homes age out of the system, and then they become part of our homeless population. And then they're mentally ill, no resources, out on the streets. And that's like a whole other spectrum of issues I have with our current system.
And the system does fuck all.
Fuck all. Absolutely nothing.
Like when I was working in news, I did a lot of watching DHHS hearings, and especially about like all of the kids, especially in Maine, they lost like 4 kids in 1 year in the system, and the state was like,
I don't know.
So it's
Yeah,
a big
incompetency.
problem.
It's awful.
now for the more fun part of the conversation. We became friends through co-starring in an action sci-fi film called Fury 25, which is still being made. We're very excited for it to be released, hopefully soon. And it's being directed and produced by our friend Zach.
Shout out to Zach.
Shout out to Zach. We love you, Zach. And you also previously made a cameo in his first movie, the medical horror Stasis, which came out in 2022. Without too many spoilers, what is your favorite part of Fury, and what are your goals for your acting career?
I love Fury. I cannot wait to share it with the world. But my favorite part of the movie itself would probably be just seeing the protagonist, Kriya, growing and just doing better, letting people in, and at the end of the movie, just spreading her wings, not being too scared to fly or drowning in misery to do anything. I love this story, the whole arc. I love it.
How would you describe the plot of the movie without giving away spoilers?
So a kind of drunkard girl who has a sense of responsibility, but maybe not totally doing everything she should to take care of herself, gets stuck with a plucky, happy-go-lucky, partner, and everything that ensues from that. It's a story about redemption. It's a story about growing up, kind of, and just pulling yourself out of a really deep, dark state with the help of a really good co-star.
Because her character, Kriya, is a drunk cargo pilot, and she runs into some scenarios where deals go wrong and people get shot at, and she becomes a vengeful bitch. And Kat, my character, is like the intern, the tag along, who's like, I want to be so like happy. You when you grow up, and you're like, why?
Yeah, this sucks.
And you also, like, because I think Kriya also had like a that's also part of the story.
No spoilers.
That's not a spoiler, that's context.
Well, hold up. I think that's character spoiler right there. Because that's explained in the movie. But you don't know that starting the movie. You're not supposed to know that starting the movie. That's an opportunity for character growth in the movie.
We'll cut that part out.
Okay.
I think it's so fun, but it does kind of talk about, especially Kriya, kind of learning how to open herself back up after trauma and loss, and also, managing a very healthy substance abuse problem.
Yes. I think Kriya probably drank more than she did absolutely anything else, and was driving in a very unsafe ship. But it was her ship, so she held on to it, and I think that's kind of part of her character, is her holding on to all of these things and saying, there's no way I can get out from under this. I might as well drink my life away. And I'm so glad she didn't. I'm so glad that Kat kind of gave her the nudge that she needed to become a whole human again, not just a sad, sorry little drunk lady.
Yeah, and it's, for all of it, it is a very family-friendly, colorful, flashy film, but there's this huge, like, emotional undertone that's just so beautiful, and I'm very excited for it to come out eventually and share it with everyone. So we will keep you posted. We will continue to bother Zach and ask for updates.
Yes. We want to know.
Come on, Zach.
Please.
We are using this podcast as leverage to pull you to work faster.
Hashtag no pressure.
Hashtag no pressure. But yeah, so like I think it's also, that filming process was really healing for me as well, because that was during the time Mike and I had just met, and I was trying to get on meds, and I was, still coming out of heavily untreated CPTSD, and I didn't want to live, but coming down and seeing you guys every weekend to film and have fun in Zach's basement it kept me going. It gave me something to look forward to, and I made some really amazing friends out of that experience.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm very happy to know that I played a role in that. Anytime I think of Fury, I think of that scene. Get in there.
I think that's on your TikTok where I was like, get in there.
And then we just I was crying by the end of it, because it was so cathartic. It was very healing, working with pretty much brand new people. I knew Zach. We had worked together a few years ago and just kind of, well, at that point, a few years ago, and had kind of stayed in contact. And then he's like, hey, you want to do this? And I'm like, yes. I never knew it would lead me to this moment, though. That's pretty cool. This decision of, like, do I want to be part of this indie film, meet these incredible people, and then they go on and do their own thing, and I get to be a part of it. I'm very happy about that.
Our little Fury family.
Yes.
And we have, we filmed all these, like, behind the scenes, really fun videos of us just being goofy and while filming. So those are on my YouTube. Please feel free to check them out. They're super fun.
They are. We are a crew, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, the one memory I will share is that I loved illegally bringing people in the back of my car, which I had taken the seats out because I was gonna live in my car. That was the plan. But instead, we would just take everyone from set and we would go to like a Cumberland Farms and get milkshakes after filming. It was our ritual. It was our little tradition.
I loved that. Yeah, so we get milkshakes after. It was just a perfect wrap-up, a little nice sweet treat. I have such fond memories of doing Fury. I've never done anything really like that. My very small part in Stasis did not prepare me for what it was like to film a feature film. I'm thankful every day Zach asked me to be part of it.
And I met Zach on TikTok. So like the red string, it all connects back to TikTok.
I love it.
But thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on here and talking about not only your political causes, like the things that you were passionate about speaking out for, but also helping people understand BPD better and what that means in terms of relationships and friendships. And also, it was just really awesome to catch up with you in general. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, I don't think BPD is something to be ashamed of. If you need resources, I will help you find them. You can lead a meaningful life. You are a full human with that diagnosis, with any diagnosis.
I think that's a beautiful point to wrap on. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we will see you next week here on The Will of the Hunted at 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And also just remember that you are not alone. And if you do need help, go to thewillofthehunted.com/resources. And if you have any BPD resources that you want to share with me, I will put those on social media as well.
Awesome.
All right. You are not alone. And if you need help, go to thewillofthehunted.com/resources.